And the next voice you hear after this little bit of music will be that of SOTU. Thank you, Josh. Here we go.
We've been talking about it for 25 years. That in
You
fact,
have?
but in fact, the dynamic has been leading up to this forever. And part of what we do with new groups is we go back and we talk about the dynamic of the history of the species and the movement from your childhood as a species to your adolescence of a species, and having you all realize that your adolescence has lasted about 4.5 million years. Well, cosmic time moves a little more slowly than your personal time. So if you understand that you have been emotionally in the dynamic of your special adolescence, and we realize special is not really a word. So the dynamics of your special history, if you understand that it parallels your growth in your human body as individuals, you realize that you are, and the systems that you have built up to this time have not really worked. Or they've worked to a certain extent where some in your world have benefited a lot more than others. So there has been a whole accumulation of wealth and accumulation of power at one extreme end of the spectrum, where it winds up being a situation at this point where 90% of your wealth is held by a very small minority of your people, and you are all fighting for the other 10% that's left over. That dynamic is rapidly coming to an end because it was built upon a foundation of a sort of Darwinian survival of the fittest as far as the dynamics of your society goes. If you look at free market capitalism, and you look at everything is built around the bureaucracy rather than built around the human, rather than built around the person. And so you have all of these problems in your world that are based upon a dysfunctional system. And so the entire system needs to be rethought. Now, many in your world are talking about the dynamic as a reset. We would rather you begin to yes, we said it again, because we said this afternoon too. We wish you to replace that word reset with rebirth, because a rebirth allows for a whole realm of possibilities that reset doesn't. Reset means bringing everything to zero and starting over again. And we do not believe any of you wish to do that. So if you look at the dynamic that's occurring right now, and more the pressure is increasing. Now, directly, what you can do to begin to alleviate those dynamics, to change those dynamics, especially when you are feeling the extreme pressure, remember that your imagination works really well. Remember that your memory can bring your resonance from a place of depression, a place of feeling badly about yourself and or others, can bring you to a memory of joy, to a memory of happiness, to a memory of contentment. And if you just spend a few minutes in that place, it will change your resonance. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The more you do it, the more you will almost automatically begin to counter those dynamics. And so that's something that you can begin to do to counteract that energy, because we are suggesting now that you all begin to walk your talk. It's Adrienne, you have a question.
Well, is that what happened with me this afternoon? Because it was so strange. I was starting to go down an old familiar negative path, and I said, wait a minute, this isn't where I want to go. And I remembered, I thought about a memory of where I would want it to be.
Right.
And it moved me out, like, boom, I was out. Well, I mean, it was good, but it was so fast.
Well, why wouldn't it be? You're doing it. What you're doing, if you're depressed about something, you're not really, you're depressed about something that you think is going to happen in the future, or you're depressed about something that's happened in the past. Now, yeah. Certainly so, dear one. You know, you understand the dynamic, and we realize that all of you lose perspective in this thing with the stresses and the difficulties of daily living. We certainly do understand that. It's very hard to keep your consciousness in that place of understanding all the time. But, you know, again, the more you begin to move through this area, even though it's very uncomfortable, it becomes more familiar. And the more familiar it becomes, the more cognizance that you have and the more mastery that you have over it.